Coming up on episode 83 of Creative Writing, I'm talking about how to plan your monetization for 2017.
I can't go back to sleep, it's almost light. These restless thoughts have kept me up again tonight.
Hello and welcome to Creative Writing. I'm your host, Kirsten Oliphant, and you are in the right place if you're a writer, a blogger, a creative, an entrepreneur, and you want to build an online platform without being smarmy. So smarmy, usually when we're thinking about that, it comes with like the idea of making money, and it's totally okay to make money with what you're doing. It's wonderful, actually, if you can make money doing what you love, with your writing, with your blogging, with your art. It's a great feeling. It can also be a difficult feeling. So we're going to talk about that in today's episode. This is finishing up for a 4-part podcast series. It was supposed to be 5 this week to kick off January. And I actually called it the January Kickstart. And I had 5 days of quick wins. Now, I didn't have 5 days of podcast episodes, but I did go live 5 days in my private free Facebook community, Creative Writing. And each day I had a worksheet with a quick win on it. So we have gone through, the first day was finishing something from 2016. Let's see if I can remember them. I didn't write them down in front of me. The second day was updating an old blog post. The third day was seeing what worked for you in 2016. The fourth day was planning out your week in terms of what you're going to do each day of the week in blocks of time, kind of generalized blocks of time. And then today we're going to talk about revenue streams, because this is a big one as you're planning out your year. Now, with the Kickstart comes a 75-page big picture planner, but I wanted to start with the quick wins. So if you're using your planner, which is free, by the way, and you can get the worksheets and the planner if you go to creativewriting.com/Kickstart, we're going to be looking at page 41 and beyond, where it starts to talk about your revenue streams. Before we get into revenue streams in a non-smarmy way, I want to thank our sponsor, ConvertKit. ConvertKit is my email service provider that I have been using for over a year now, and it has changed the way that I look at email, which I was already a huge email nerd. If you guys have been following me for that long, it was one of the first things that I really started out teaching and talking about and being passionate about was email. And moving to ConvertKit has changed the way that I think about email. It has so many fun features and tools that once you get in there, I came up with new ideas of how to handle email that I hadn't thought about before because things weren't possible before. So if you want to try it out and see what you think, you can get a free month by going to creativewriting.com/ConvertKit. And if you have any questions, just shoot me an email, Kirsten@creativewriting.com. So let's talk about monetization for 2017. You're going to be a little more primed to think about this if you did, I guess it was day 3, where it was kind of like looking back at what worked over the year before. I didn't necessarily on that day's quick win ask you to think about what worked in terms of revenue streams. But if you're using your big planner, there are places that definitely do dive deep into that. But revenue streams are really important, and having more than one is really important. So I'll tell you a little bit about kind of my monetization journey. And if you want more on this, I've got a couple episodes on monetization, but one I would definitely recommend is episode 66, which is all about the dark side of monetization. So I kind of talk about pros and cons in that episode of some of the different forms of monetization that you can have, because I'm not going to go deep on the kinds and explaining them and what I think about them, but I'll just talk a little bit about my journey. So when I started blogging, I actually started blogging in 2005, and I thought people who had blogs were really self-centered. Why would anyone want to read a diary of you online? And essentially that's what blogs were at that point. But we had moved from Texas to North Carolina. I was in grad school. We had no kids except for our first child, Tex, who really was treated like a person. He went everywhere with us, and we just had a lot of adventures. So my blog was really pictures. I barely wrote anything, barely even wrote captions. It was just kind of like trip to North Carolina and pictures, which was really, really fun. Sad story, I accidentally deleted the whole blog, so our whole online diary is now gone. Back your stuff up, people. Don't delete your blog. So in 2007, I actually started another blog that was more about writing, but I didn't consider it really writing. So I was blogging about the fact that I was pregnant for the first time. We were planning a home birth, which now 5 pregnancies and 4 C-sections later is a hilarious thought to me, but that's where we were. And I kind of wanted to convince people home birth isn't crazy, which I still believe, just didn't work for me. So I started this blog talking about pregnancy, bump pictures, baby plans, baby books, all that. And it was really just a parenting blog. So after I'd been blogging about a year, I had picked up new readers because back in 2007, you could do that. If you started a blog and posted something, it was kind of like people always say now, if you post it, they won't come, kind of like the Field of Dreams reference, where if you build it, they will come. If you post it, they're not going to come. You have to go share posts on social media. Back in 2007, that's not how life worked. People really didn't use social media for that. So I would write a post and people would somehow find it. And I had new readers and connected with people and people commented more. And so I actually started getting more page views, although I didn't know how to track that, and heard about this new little company called BlogHer who had ads you could put on your site. So I signed up with BlogHer. And in those early days when BlogHer was really new and not, as the huge network that it is now under She Knows Media, I was actually making like $30 a month, which went down as my page views went up, which is one of the reasons that I left. Because it just got so big that they were paying different. And anyway, things changed. So that was my first experience. Is I put an ad in my sidebar and just left it there. And working with a company like BlogHer, you just put in code and they update the ads for you. So I never thought about it. I never tracked my page views or revenue or anything else. I just sort of took the check when it came and didn't ask questions until it started going down when I knew I was getting more readers. So that was it for me. And every now and then companies would email me and say, hey, can I send you a free product and you can write about it? And I said, yes. And I had no idea that you were supposed to disclose those relationships or use no follow links or some of the things I know about now. And if you want to know more about disclosure, I'm pretty sure it's episode 33 where I talk all about disclosure and how you might be doing it wrong. So I was doing it wrong because I had no idea. Back then, people weren't really teaching about blogging so much. I'm sure there were a few big sites that were, but now it seems like everyone is. So I moved from getting free things like ride-on toys for my kids or clothing, not much clothing, but mostly kid-related items, and those, $30 a month from BlogHer, to a few years later going to my first ever blog conference at Blog Elevated, which I highly recommend, especially if you're in the Texas area because it's always easier to go local. But even if you're flying in, blogelevated.com has always been a great conference for me. I've spoken there twice, I think, and gone every year. And I'm trying to think if it's 4 or 5 times. But it's just wonderful. blogelevated.com. They're not paying me to say that. I just really like the conference. So when I went there, it opened up my eyes. I realized that people really were making actual legitimate money. And it was basically doing the same things I was doing. They were just monetizing. And I didn't even know you could do that. So connecting with other bloggers was the first step in my journey to kind of revamp my blog. And there were some good and bad parts of that. I feel like when I wrote before, I was thinking of my blog sort of more professionally. It was off the cuff. It was a little lighter hearted. It wasn't so planned out. It was a lot more personal, but there were a lot of other reasons to change as well. Ultimately I went to grad school to become a writer. I got my master's in fiction. I do want to publish books and I want the writing on my blog to represent the fact that I'm a writer. I don't want to just slap up posts at 3 a.m, which is often what I did in the early days of my old blog. So I didn't want to do that, but I do miss those days where it was just kind of an online diary. So now it's a lot more structured, a lot more professional. And it's taken some time to kind of get comfortable in what voice I write in, because again, I want it to be personal. I want it to be a blog, but I want it also to represent who I am as a writer. And since I have branched out and launched Create If Writing, because my other blog is KirstenOliphant.com, my lifestyle blog, now that I'm teaching about blogging and writing and platform, I want that other blog to still, look good. So if people go over there, they're not like, she has no idea. Now, I'm not putting all my time and effort into that blog right now. That's really much on the back burner compared to what I'm doing over at Creative Writing. But still, it changed. So as I changed and got better, I started doing sponsored posts. I changed ad networks. I started using affiliate marketing and affiliate links with disclosure because I learned about that after connecting with other bloggers. So things have really changed for me. And because I'm a writer, I started writing books. I started putting out books. I've got a few books on Amazon that you can find me if you look for Kirsten Oliphant. And I also have sold some books through my blog as PDFs as well, like workbooks and stuff. So it's been really great. And then I moved to creating courses and launched a beta membership site this past fall. I have done it all. Coaching, I've done also some coaching. So I've seen a lot of the revenue streams. And what I want to say about them is this. They're all different and they all fit different kinds of people or different kinds of stages of life. So some years I'm really way more into one than another. Last year I did a big focus on affiliate sales and it really paid off. But you always kind of have to figure out how those things fit into your overall platform. And since I talk about not being smarmy, I think a lot of times affiliate marketing is one of the smarmiest. I mean, I'd rather somebody try to sell me their own product usually than trying to sell me somebody else's because I think they're much more passionate about their own. So I'm a little bit more wary. I don't know if you guys are like that. I'd love to hear your thoughts on affiliate marketing, if that's something that you kind of think, ugh, or you don't have a thought about it, or you think positively. So this year, I really kind of got my feet wet in doing some bigger promotions and doing some launches and trying to figure out for me what made sense as an affiliate promoter. And an affiliate, if you're not familiar with that term, just to clarify, is when you're promoting somebody else's product and you're getting a commission for it. So depending on your season, depending on your skill set, depending on what you love, your revenue streams may change. But what should be kind of underlying everything is that you shouldn't just rely on one. Maybe one is your main, breadwinner for the blog or your site, but you don't want to just have that one because the same way that sometimes, algorithms change and you could lose traffic on your blog, things may change in terms of revenue. Maybe, you're making a lot of money in your books and Amazon changes something. I mean, that happens all the time. There's always talk about that. I listen to the Sell More Books show every week and they talk about changes all the time and they're constantly happening. So you can't just put all the eggs in one basket, especially if you're trying to do this full time and support yourself or support a family. You really need to have more diversity in where the money's coming from. So for today's quick win, and this is the final one of the week, I want you guys to look at the quick win worksheet. Again, if you do not have this and want to get it, you can go to creativewriting.com/kickstart and you'll get some emails and it'll have all the information in there for you. I'm going to send out a recap on Saturday. So if you're listening to this on Friday, I've probably already sent the Friday morning email out. But Saturday, you'll get an email with all of the links, all of the worksheets and everything else you need. So for you today, the quick win worksheet, what I want you to do is to consider your revenue streams. And I want you to think about just kind of, maybe off the top of your head. I mean, maybe if you need to research and get into spreadsheets and stuff, you can. But again, we're trying to keep these quick wins, things you can do in one day. I want you to think about the current revenue streams. What have you been using? What are you sort of focused on? What's actually made you money? So maybe you've been doing affiliate sales, but that's not bringing you money, but ebooks are. Think about that. And then think about where would you like to expand? What do you want to grow this year? Is this a year you want to start actually writing books or creating your own products? Or is this a year you want to launch coaching? And then I want you to write out a brief plan. I don't want you to, because again, quick win, I don't want you to take a lot of time and go through a lot of detail and everything else to create this plan, but I want you to create a brief plan for how you can expand and diversify your revenue streams so that you're not just resting on one, but resting on several. Again, they may not all be a good fit for you. You may only do two. I do most of them, but some of them bring in more money than others. And some years, some of them bring in more money than others. So it doesn't mean you have to do all of them because coaching may not be your thing. Or maybe you don't have a lot of page views because you're a writer and you're not promoting blog posts as much as you are your books. So ads on your site would be not the smartest investment. I mean, I really think if you're not getting at least 10,000 page views a month on your blog, having ads on your site, it's not really going to make you a ton of money and it's just going to junk up your site. So, I mean, unless somebody out there is making a ton of money with less than 10,000 page views a month, I really don't think, I know I didn't start, let me just say that. I know I didn't start actually seeing significant income that mattered enough for me to keep ads on my site till I went over 10,000 and really not just 11,000, but up above, 30,000, 50,000 page views a month. And that's when I started seeing, a few $100s a month, which to me made the ads on the site justifiable. They kind of just go to cover the cost of hosting and other expenses that I have. But I want you to think about what revenue streams you like, what revenue streams are working, what revenue streams you want to amp up for 2017, and write out a brief plan. That's it. Shouldn't take that long. If you want to go deeper, which you should in the future, to think about your whole year in the big planner, the 75-page blog, strategy guide, and planner for 2017 that I've created, there are a number of pages that will help walk you through making these decisions. And it starts on page 41. So definitely check out the planner long term to kind of make a more detailed plan. But for today's quick win, I just want you to do that. Okay? I might be back with one extra day just to kind of wrap up this week because it feels like I have kind of some wrapping up to do. But I hope you will join me in the Facebook group. I hope you will download your worksheets and think about these quick wins. I don't know if this has been helpful for you. I didn't do every single days because I was busy doing the back end stuff of actually creating all the content for you guys, but I did do a few, and it was so helpful to me, especially the first day where I got rid of some things on my to-do list that were left over from 2016. It was great to get those things done. I feel better. I've got one more on my list from 2016 to do, and I'm going to go do that right now. Again, a big thank you to ConvertKit for sponsoring the show. Get your free month of ConvertKit at creativewriting.com/ConvertKit. Thank you to Jasmine Commerce of JasmineCommerceMusic.com for the music for the show. I love it. I'm so glad to have original music from an independent artist that I actually know and think is a delightful person. So thank you, Jasmine, for your contribution of music to the show. And I want to appreciate everybody who has left a rating and review. I know it's not super easy. I don't know why iTunes is difficult with that. I always feel like they're going to like shut my podcast down if I say enough bad things, but it's not easy to find. I appreciate those of you guys who have done that and would love it if you would leave a rating or review on the show. It just kind of indicates to people, numbers on everything, but it lets them know that people actually listen and like the show. And I appreciate those of you guys who have connected also through the Facebook group, over email, and over Twitter. I really like having those personal connections and talking. All right, let's go out, do your quick win, think about your revenue streams, plan out your revenue streams for 2017. And don't forget to subscribe at creativewriting.com/Kickstart to get all the worksheets, downloads, and information.